Well, good evening, everyone. Hey, it's Linda Anderson here from Linda Lou Creates, and hope you have had a wonderful weekend. I was busy making some Valentine cards. It's going to soon be February 14th, so might as well get a head start on those. So these are the two cards that I'm going to share with you today. This one makes use of the Sweet Talk Designer Series paper that is in the mini catalog. It is the Sweet Talk Sweet. Wow. But I love this paper. Well, I think I say that about all the pattern paper. So anyway, and then I want to show you what I did. Let me see if I can pull this up. And if you can see the background of the hearts. And I'm going to share with you how I did that. So, but you're going to have to wait on that one because I'm going to start with this card. So here we go. Let me pull out some of my supplies. I got some, done ahead of time just to save some time. So what I've got is Highland Heather for a card base. It is the 8.5 by 5.5. The score line is right down the middle at 4 1/4. I went ahead and stamped the sentiment, and let me show you the bundle that I'm using here. It is the Sweet Conversations bundle, the stamp set, and the dies. These are so much fun. I got to tell you, they really are fun. So, so that's where everything came from here. Let me bring in the rest of the stuff. I have too much stuff. The white is 5 1/4 by 4. Then I have some DSP. The stripe, 3.5, 2.5. All right, so let's go ahead. Hopefully I've got the glue bottle that's going to work for me here. I think, maybe. Or maybe not. All right, let me try another one. Let's see what this one does. It really puts it out there. So, okay. So here we go. 2.5 by 3.5. And I'm just going to put it down here, down in the lower left corner. You can put it anywhere you want. All right, this is where I'm going to stick it. Then I have this strip of the hearts, and it's 3/4 of an inch wide and then 5 1/4 inches long. So that's just going to, sometimes some of these little strips are just, scrap pieces whenever you cut something bigger that you can just keep. I don't, honestly, and don't hate me, I do not keep a lot of my scraps. I used to. I had, like Rubbermaid bins full of scraps, and they just never got used. So I vowed to myself not to save the little slivers. Some of these, though, that are like 3/4 of an inch wide, or an inch wide, those I'll save because I'll use some of those little strips right through there. I'm going to go ahead and put this now down to my card base. Now, sometimes all you need to is just, for any card, is a good sketch or layout. And never be afraid to use it again. You're saying to me, I don't have that same stamp set. I don't have that same paper. And that's fine. Use what you have. Using what you have and just following along with the layout, boom, you can put out a whole bunch of different flavors of cards. Now, instead of cutting out paper here, I used just white cardstock, and I ran it through the gingham embossing folder just to give a little bit of that visual texture and just something fun as opposed to using the designer series paper. Now, let me show you, see how it's just the lines, it just looks different on one side or the other. Let me show you this one, and let me show you this one. I don't know. I see some differences in it. So what's embossed, raised, and what's debossed. It's kind of fun. Then you get to pick which side you like best whenever you use an embossing folder. Now the white circle, I use the layering circle dies for both of these. The white one, it's about 2 3/8 for that white circle, and the red, real red circle is about 2 5/8. All right, so I'm just gonna pop it right here. Nothing too fancy there. My heart, that is Blushing Bride cardstock. I stamped in real red ink from the Sweet Conversation stamp set. Just the Text Me stamp. And then I used the die here, this bigger heart, to cut it out. So super simple. And I'm going to pop it right here. I could put it here. Let me see, which way do I want it? I'm going to try it over on this side just for something fun. So let me put a dimensional on the back. See, good thing I didn't, since I'm changing it up a bit. So, and that's what you get to do. You get to change things up to make it your own. So let me start with one here. I'm using the little mini dimensionals, and then I'll put a little bit of glue where it's going to overlap onto the circle, which is already popped up. So no need to put dimensionals there also, otherwise it won't lay flat, in other words. So all right, so let me put that right here. A little different just on the look, based on where you put the heart. So now let me go ahead. The only embellishment that I have on here is a red rhinestone. Obviously, I've been using these guys a lot, so let me pull one out, and I will pop it right there. So there we go. One card done. Like I said, I would love to see you do this, but with different papers, different sentiments. That would be fun. Don't hesitate to do that and then share it here. So I would love to see it. So, okay, first card complete. Let's go on to the next card. So here we go. The fun background. That's what I can't wait to show you. I just need to look for some scrap paper. If you hear things falling, don't be surprised, because I always have a messy desk. And when I'm just trying to pull out one thing, 10 things fall. Okay, I was successful there. Okay, so here we go. Let me go through the pieces and parts that you're going to need for this. To start, I have a thick white card base. This because I love my top folding cards. Cut it at 4 1/4. So that means it's 11 by 4 1/4. 5 1/2 is the score line then. So all I did on the inside was just stamp one of the hearts in there that says love you in real red ink. Let me set that off to the side. I have a piece of basic black. It measures 3 7/8 by 5 1/8. So yes, you're right. The red on here is going to be 5 by 3 3/4. However, this piece just, and I don't know, well, I guess I do know why I cut it to be 5 1/2 by 4 1/4. Because I'm going to do some stenciling on here to get those hearts. I made my own stencil, and I guess I just wanted to see how it looked, and then I'm going to trim around it to make it fit onto my card. So this is not what it will, this is not the size it will end up being. So yes, you heard me right. I made my own stencil. I got a 5 1/2 by 4 1/4 piece of the basic white, and I just used a whole bunch of the hearts out of here. These 3, and then these 4, 5, 6 little mini ones. Actually, I didn't use this one. The individual ones, the 4 individual. I just kind of scattered them all over this piece of white cardstock. Obviously, I ran it through a couple times to get all of the space used up, so to speak, and I ended up making my own stencil. Now, this is just Post-it note tape that I have here. You can see that I've used this lovingly on this side. So all I'm going to do now is go ahead and lay this down on top of my red. And this is another reason why I cut them both the same, to be the 5.5 by 4 1/4, is it just makes it really easy just to go ahead, line them up, the edges up. The thing with this stencil, this handmade stencil of mine, is I don't have to be perfect on how it lines up, because I am going to cut it down then. So the Post-it note tape is holding it in place. Now I am going to use Real Red ink on the Real Red cardstock. If you want yours a little bit darker, maybe Cherry Cobbler. That will make your hearts a little darker. You could even use the white pigment ink and use the blending brush to get that on, to get a white color of heart. I liked just that little bit of tone on tone, and it's very, very subtle, and that was just what I was going for. So I have my blending brush and I have my Real Red ink. Let me start moving some things out of the way, because we are about to get inky, believe me. I have a rag close to me so that I see I'm already getting it on my fingers. But I'm just going to hold this down. Where's my scrap paper? And let's get going. And I am just going to start laying down some ink. Now you can see I'm holding it up near the top of the brush. I like doing that. I'm very heavy-handed with my sponging and my blending. And this just is going to lay down a lot of ink for me quickly. If I wanted a lighter application of ink, I would hold it down here at the handle. It then does not put as much pressure down onto what you're stenciling or what you're blending on as holding it where I am right now. I just want this to go quickly. Like I said, I'm heavy-handed to begin with, and as much as I love to do stenciling and blending like this, I just, I want to go fast too. So I like to go in a circular motion so that I'm going over it all. I also like to make sure, see how I'm circling one way and then I'll go back the other way. These images are not super intricate, so you can get away with doing that. If they were intricate, you might want to be careful going in both directions with your brush, just so you don't rip your stencil, or whether it's a handmade stencil or one of the masks that Stampin' Up! Sells. I'm just, the thing too with doing tone on tone, I am assuming I have enough ink on here. So we will just go with it. So there we go. It does not have to be hearts. If you have any stencils or punches that you can get all round like this on your piece of cardstock, go for it. Make your own. Now I did use the regular basic white, not the thick, because it is a little bit thinner in weight, so that I felt like I was able to get this to not have like too much thickness, and I was able to get my brush and the ink in there. So, all right, let's have that ta-da moment. You know I love that part. So let me just pull off my Post-it tape, and we are going to see what we got under there. Like I said, it's not going to be in your face red, but it is going to be pretty doggone nice. So, sorry, I know you're waiting patiently. Thank you for that. Wow, I struggle to get this off. And here we go. Ta-da! Look at that. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Now, if you can just give me a moment to just get now some of this cut off. What I'm going to do is cut 1/4 of an inch off all the way around. So right now it is 5.5 by 4.25. So I want to take 1/4 inch off of all 4 sides because I want to end up with 5 by 3 3/4. One more cut. And here we go. Here is my piece. So now let me bring back the rest of the stuff. You know what? I'm just going to wipe my fingers off one more time so that I don't get things all fingerprinted. So, all right, so let's go ahead. Yeah, this is a one-of-a-kind now background. So, because you created it yourself. So, I think this is the bottle that wasn't working for me. I need to set that somewhere else. All right, let's try this bottle instead. All right, no bottles are wanting to work for me here. So let's find one. And then I'm about to get cat hair on it. There we go. The struggles are real when you do Facebook Lives, aren't they? So anyways, so this is my basic black that is just 1/8 of an inch bigger. All right. So here we go. This I'm going to actually put down to my card front then, or to the card base. So the red measures 5 by 3 3/4, so the black measures 5 1/8 by 3 7/8. That is another favorite thing of mine, that measurement there. It allows then whatever your card base is to really show through then for that. So, okay, so let me show you now. I did this, was it last week, maybe the week before, where I cut 2 vellum hearts. This one I am using, this is part of a bundle called, it's the Love and Happiness bundle. And I used this heart, the larger one there. Keep in mind too, for the sentiment, I also used this die also for the sentiment. So both of those came from that die set. But I have 2 vellum hearts that I have cut out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to attach my sentiment to it. I stamped the sentiment in Versamark, sprinkled on some white embossing powder, used my heat tool and melted that powder. I did some heat embossing that way. I've put on some of my dimensionals and probably could have found my black ones if I would have been looking. So what I'm going to do now is pop this down onto my vellum heart. Just one of them. Because I don't want the adhesive to show through. Let's see if this is, speaking of adhesive, let's see. Oh yeah, it does work. Okay. So what I'm going to do, because I put it on just the one heart, I am going to only put the adhesive where that sentiment strip is. So now it's hidden. I can layer up my 2 hearts. I found that just a single vellum heart, I didn't like the look of it. It was too, I don't know, is opaque the word I want? Too see-through? I liked this where it's sort of, it's not a solid white, but it's not as transparent as a single one. So there, I guess that's the word I wanted. So anyway, so now I'm going to do the same thing again, just putting on glue for my adhesive where my sentiment strip is. All right, so let's go ahead and adhere this down. All right, we'll hold that for a second because next comes the embellishing and then we're done. So I've got my red rhinestones again and those silly backs from the dimensionals that you find everywhere. There we go. So I'm going to start by putting some of these around on this side of the heart. And then I'm going to put some down here so that I have my odd number and I have a second card done. Am I allowed to say that this one's my favorite? I think just because of doing the stenciling, that's what made it my favorite. So, but like I said, I would love to see if you created your own stencil using other dies. That would be fun to see too. So, all right, let me bring these back in. Card number 1. And actually that's card number 2, but we won't. Here are the 2 cards then that I made today. So this is definitely a fun bundle to have. Love the paper. You can get a bunch of Valentine cards, love cards, just sending to someone special in your life cards. So and a great set and die set to have. So, okay. Well, hey, thanks so much. That I really did appreciate you hanging with me and watching while I made these cards. If you have any questions or if you've asked, I have a very bad habit of not reading through the comments. So when I'm done here, I will come back through and I will answer any questions you may have. So, all right, guys, thanks for joining me tonight. I will see you next week. Bye now.